This is one of the traditional archery range in South Korea 90 years ago. I happen to live near a traditional archery field. It is named Seokhojong, one of the oldest archery fields in Korea. They estimate its original establishment back in circa early 17th century. Seokhojong had been destroyed during the Korean War, and since the first establishment, its location had been changed a few times in the past. But it has been going strong in its current location since 1970. The practice goes like this. When the bell rings, everyone gets ready to shoot together. There are 3 targets and each has 7 standing spots. As you see, targets are far out there. They stand at 145 meters. Most of Korean traditional archery ranges set their targets only at this particular distance. For each target, they shoot one person at a time from left to right. One round is finished after everyone shoots 5 times, and after 3 rounds, everybody goes together to retrieve their arrows. The size of the target is 2.665 meter tall and 2 meter wide. So this target has a sensor, so if you hit it, you see the light lit up. That's how it works. Although there is a different section drawn on the target, hitting any part counts as a hit. Archers have to use round tip arrows, and the target front is hard rubbery material, so arrows bounce off the target, which makes target's lifespan longer. That also helps to lower the usage fee to the archers. There are about 400 archery fields in South Korea, and most of them only allow Korean bows and the round tip arrows. You have to learn how to shoot with Korean bows before shooting at a long distance target. Many of them run the place with a membership system, charging a joining fee and monthly usage fee. But including Seokhojong, there are few places that are open to public, and some of them cost less than $2 to use for a day. So, fellow archers, if you want to visit South Korea, hit me up. I'll help you experience Korean long distance target shooting. Now, let's talk about what other fellow archers would like to know. First off, how hard it is to hit the target at 145 meters. When you calculate the ratio of the Korean traditional target size by the distance, it is equivalent to 69 cm by 92 cm at 50 meters, which makes it as small as 13.8 cm by 18.4 cm at 10 meters. So it is not that small of an area that you need to hit. To hit a target within 30 meters or so, with a bow that has over 40 pounds draw weight, you don't need to think about power. An arrow will fly pretty much like a bullet without dropping. All you need is to send an arrow straight. But there are a few factors added into consideration in shooting at a distance that is longer than an American football field. The challenge is that first, you need to make the distance. Second, the arrow will travel in curvature. That means now you need the right amount of power and right angle on top of being able to shoot straight. Not to mention elemental factors such as wind and rain. While you need to generate enough power for an arrow to reach a target, you also need to be precise with the power to make sure the target is in the way of your trajectory. Here is the thing about trajectory. When you shoot with an elevated angle, you can see arrows fly into the sky, but soon they disappear into the background. In this case, a mountain. It's like a mosquito is flying right in front of your eyes, then suddenly vanishes into thin air, and you can't trace it. Then you can barely see the arrow again when it bounces off the target, or see a splash of sand when the arrow hits the dirt. I think being able to see how an arrow flies is a substantial factor in learning archery. especially for long distance shooting. Although I can hit the target, I always wanted to know my trajectory. Even on the clearest day, you cannot see an arrow's full trajectory in a Korean archery field. To know how I send my arrow, I needed to use LED Nox. Before I show you how it goes, I want you to guess first. What do you think the trajectory of an arrow in this distance looks like? You might think it is like a basketball three-point shot, which goes in an almost symmetrical, evenly arched line. But it actually goes more like a topspin tennis stroke. If you don't believe me, take a look at how my shots draw the lines. An arrow drops quite a bit as it gets closer to the target due to the fact that a tip of an arrow is a lot heavier than the rest. Here I am balancing my arrow for you to get the idea what my arrow's FOC is. Unlike shooting with a modern bow, many things are intangible in shooting long distance with a traditional bow. All that adjustment of lining up with the target without centered arrow passage, elevation of a bow without a sight, right amount of a draw without locking function, you need to be sensitive to feel them, which makes it challenging, and perhaps that's why people find it fun.
권총장님은 쓰는 활하고 화살은 어떻게 되나요?
네, 활은 현무 43 파운드.
43.
화살은 7.0에 6.5돈.
최고 기록이 15시 15중이죠?
네,
사면 몰기.
운 좋게 한번.
원사만 하시나요? 아니면 다른
난
활동이?
원사뿐이 안 해요.
원사만.
다른 건 해본 적이 없어요.
그러면은 그만큼 원사에서 재미를 느끼신다는 거잖아요.
그렇죠. 뭐
네.
다른 건 안 해봤는데
네,
안에 이게 제일 내 적성에 맞는
맞는
거.
거죠. 어떤 그 원사의 특성 중에 어떤 게 재밌다고 생각하시는 거예요?
글쎄 뭐
네,
특별한 건 없어도
네.
나 혼자서
네,
그냥 아무 무상무념으로
네.
관역 보고 딱 쐈을 때 맞아가지고 딱 소리 나면서 불 들어오고 쾌감 그런 게 좀 좋더라고요.
알겠습니다.
안 맞아도 할 수 없지만.
안 맞아도 그죠? 예. 예, 고맙습니다. 예. 어떤 거 쓰시나요?
이번이 지금 현무공 쓰고 있고 41파운드 장궁,
예,
화살이 길이 7.25,
예.
무게 7.0.
정해서 원사만 하시나요? 아니면은 다른 길이에서도 하시나요?
여기 석포정에서 원사하고요.
네.
실내 활터,
실내
TAC에서 근사 연습하고.
예. 어떤 게 더 재밌어요?
저는 원사가
네.
더 재밌습니다.
원사.
네.
원사의 그 재미, 그게 뭘까요? 어떤 점에서 재미를 느끼세요?
이게 좀 공간감이죠.
건강감.
트인 공간감, 그다음에 화살이 날아갈 때 그 시간이 주는 어떤 확장의 느낌들, 이런 게 좀 저는 좋고요. 원사보다는 그 거리감 때문인지
예.
몸의 동작도 좀 시원스럽게 나오는 것 같아요. 해보면 그런 느낌.
그게 재밌다. 예, 알겠습니다.
Again, if you plan to visit South Korea, I recommend you to try. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll leave you here with the old footage of Korean archery field.